Welcome, gents. Real power doesn't shout, it simply changes the atmosphere. You don't need to raise your voice to be heard. You don't need to chase recognition to matter. If you've ever walked into a space and felt like you were carrying something different, something deep, something unexplainable, you're not imagining it. You're a Sigma male. And what you're feeling is your aura. Your presence isn't built on performance, it's built on the quiet things no one sees. The way you think before you speak. The way you feel everything but rarely let it show. The way you'd rather build in silence than perform for applause. That's not weakness, that's rare strength. Most people are loud because they're unsure. You stay calm because you've already done the work inside. That's why your silence holds weight. That's why your presence pulls people in. It's not because you try, it's because you exist in a way that most people don't understand. This aura you carry wasn't handed to you. It came from all the times you sat with yourself and faced the things others avoid. It came from walking alone, not because no one wanted to walk with you, but because you knew you had your own path. And if you've ever doubted yourself, let this be your reminder: you don't have to match the noise. You were built for something deeper. Now let's break down the 12 brutally honest reasons why your aura isn't just different, it's the most powerful one in the room. Let's get started, gents. Number 1, he's more dangerous when he's quiet than most people are when they're loud. This isn't just about silence, it's about what lives inside that silence. When a Sigma male goes quiet, it's not because he's clueless or passive, it's because he's processing everything. He's watching how people move, how they speak, what they say when they think no one's paying attention. He collects patterns, he tracks behaviors. He studies the atmosphere like a strategist studies the battlefield. Loud people want attention. They talk too much because they think volume equals value. But the Sigma, he already knows his value. He doesn't need to be heard to prove it. In fact, he prefers silence because it gives him the clearest view of what's real and what's fake. While the loud ones are performing, the Sigma male is collecting data. Picture this. You're in a room full of people talking over each other. Then there's this one guy sitting in the corner, calm, still, barely saying a word. But every now and then he looks up, and when he does, people get uncomfortable. Why? Because they don't know what he's thinking. And deep down, they know he's probably thinking more than they ever could. That's what makes him dangerous. His silence is never empty. It's loaded with intent. And when he does speak, every word is sharp. It cuts through the noise and makes people listen. That's quiet storm energy. It doesn't need a spotlight to be felt. It carries weight without force. You never see it coming, but when it hits, it changes everything. So if you're a Sigma male and people mistake your silence for weakness, let them. Just keep observing. Keep building, because when it's time to move, your silence will say more than their shouting ever could. That's the kind of power they never see coming, but they always feel. Number 2, he's untouchable because he's already faced himself. You can't break a man who's already broken himself down and built back stronger. That's the kind of work most people avoid. They run from the mirror. They distract themselves with noise, crowds, habits, and shallow wins because they're scared of what they'll find if they ever sit with themselves in silence. But the Sigma male, he's done exactly that. He's looked himself in the eye and asked the hard questions. He's torn through his own ego, confronted his past, owned his mistakes, and exposed his insecurities. Not to the world, but to himself. That's a level of honesty that most people will never reach, and here's what makes it powerful. When you've done that inner work, when you've wrestled with the darkest parts of your character and come out on the other side, people lose their power over you. No insult can touch you, no shame can shake you, no opinion can define you. You've already had the toughest conversation with yourself. Let's say someone tries to call him out or mock him for something in his past. He won't flinch. Why? Because he's already processed it. He's already gone there. There's nothing left for them to weaponize. That level of self-awareness becomes a shield. You can't use wounds against a man who's already cleaned and closed them himself. And that's the scary part for others. Most people rely on guilt and judgment to control you, but when you're that grounded, that clear about who you are, you become immune to manipulation. People feel that. So while the world is full of people trying to hide their flaws or pretend they're perfect, the Sigma male moves different. He's not perfect, he's real. And that realness, that raw, fearless self-ownership, that's what makes him untouchable. Number 3, He moves like a threat even when he's calm. And no, it's not because he's aggressive or trying to intimidate anyone. It's because his energy is pure, clean, unfiltered. There's no pretending, no hidden agenda, no need to impress. He doesn't speak just to be heard, and he doesn't move just to be seen. Every action has weight because it's intentional. What makes this so powerful and honestly unsettling is that most people aren't used to someone that clear. Most folks walk around with layers of pretense. They say what they think you want to hear. They smile when they're mad. They hide their true feelings just to keep the peace or gain approval. But the Sigma male doesn't play that game. He has no interest in performing for anyone, and that's what makes him feel like a quiet threat. Think of it like this. Imagine someone walks into a space and doesn't say much. He's relaxed, not trying to prove anything, but for some reason people watch him. They feel the difference. It's not fear. It's respect mixed with curiosity. They're trying to figure him out, but they can't. That stillness, that calm confidence, it makes people second-guess their own energy. He isn't here to compete. He's already won the only battle that matters, the one within. That's why he can stay calm in situations that make other people crack. That's why he's not jumping into conversations or forcing connections. He's not desperate to be liked. And because of that, his presence speaks louder than noise ever could. In a world full of people trying to be everything at once, the Sigma male is simply solid. And that kind of clarity, being unapologetically yourself without forcing it down anyone's throat, creates an energy that feels both rare and dangerous. Not because he's a threat to others, but because he reminds them of how lost they really are. Number 4, he operates in total psychological freedom. And that's something most people will never taste in their entire lives. See, the average person is constantly adjusting themselves to fit into boxes. What's trendy, what's acceptable, what will make them more liked, more followed, more validated. They're stuck in a loop of approval chasing, afraid to step out of line in case someone disapproves. But the Sigma male, he isn't built like that. His mind isn't trapped in other people's expectations. He doesn't shape his values based on popularity. He doesn't talk just to be accepted. And he sure as hell doesn't follow rules just because everyone else is doing it. He's carved out a space in his own mind that no one else gets to touch. That's his edge. He thinks for himself, fully, clearly, and fearlessly. Want to know what that kind of freedom does? It creates a man who can't be manipulated. You can't bait him with trends. You can't pressure him with shame. You can't herd him with the rest of the crowd. He sees through all of it, and he decides what matters for himself. Let's say a room full of people is pretending to agree just to fit in. The Sigma, he'll sit quietly, listen, and when he finally speaks, he'll say the one honest thing everyone else was too afraid to say. Not to provoke, but because he simply refuses to lie to himself. Some will admire that. They'll wish they had that kind of freedom. Others will feel threatened by it because deep down they know how trapped they are. And that's why his psychological freedom is so powerful. It's not just about thinking differently, it's about living unchained in a world full of people tied to masks. That's rare, that's dangerous. And that's exactly why his presence cannot be ignored. Number 5, he radiates purpose without performance. There's something different about a man who knows where he's going but doesn't feel the need to announce it. He doesn't brag. He doesn't constantly post motivational quotes. He doesn't talk about his plans just to impress people. He simply moves, and when he does, people feel the direction in him. It's in how he carries himself. It's in his discipline. It's in how he shows up even when no one is watching. That's what separates the Sigma male. His focus is internal, not performative. Most people talk about goals just to get praise. They want to be clapped for starting. But the Sigma doesn't need the applause. He'd rather get to work and let the results speak when it's time. Think about it like this. 2 men walk into a gym. One is loud, posting every set on social media, flexing in the mirror. The other says nothing, no headphones, no talking, just focus. People start noticing. Not because he's trying to be noticed, but because his energy is locked in. He's there for himself. That's purpose without performance. The Sigma lives like that in every area of his life. Whether he's working on his finances, building a business, or healing from something personal, he does it quietly, without seeking a round of applause. That kind of still focus, it unsettles people, because most people need an audience to stay motivated. He doesn't. And what's wild is, people still feel his purpose without him saying a word. They see it in his discipline, in the way he says no to distractions, in the way he refuses to explain himself. They can sense he's not drifting, he's aiming, always. So if you ever wonder why people seem drawn to him or even intimidated, it's because they're watching someone who lives with direction but doesn't need permission. That's rare, that's powerful, and that's the kind of energy you don't fake, you build. Number 6. He learns in silence and strikes with precision. While most people are busy trying to prove themselves, the Sigma male is simply watching, quietly, carefully, not because he's passive, but because he's studying. While others fill the space with noise, he's collecting information. Every word you say, every glance you give, every small shift in your tone, he notices it. He pays attention to the things you don't even realize you're revealing. See, most people think the loudest person is the smartest, but the Sigma knows better. He knows that the one who speaks the least often sees the most. He doesn't interrupt. He doesn't rush to respond. He lets people expose themselves with their own words. And by the time they realize what he's doing, it's already too late. He's mapped out your behavior. He knows what triggers you. He knows what you hide behind your smile. Imagine someone trying to manipulate him or lie to him. On the surface, he might nod or stay silent, but deep down, he's filing it away. He's noticed the shift in your breathing, the crack in your voice, the inconsistency in your story. He won't confront you, not yet. He'll wait, he'll observe. And when the time comes to act, he moves with such precision it leaves no room for recovery. This is why he's never caught off guard. He's already read the situation 5 steps ahead. He doesn't panic, he plans. He doesn't react, he calculates. That kind of calm, strategic mind, it's what gives him a level of power that can't be bought or borrowed. And that's the thing. His silence isn't emptiness. It's sharp, intentional, loaded with awareness. It's not that he's quiet, it's that he's always learning. And when the time comes to respond, he doesn't just react, he hits where it matters most, and only once. Number 7, he turns pain into personal fuel. While most people fall apart when life punches them in the gut, the Sigma male absorbs that pain and converts it into fire. He doesn't sit around begging for sympathy or trying to gain attention through his suffering. He doesn't vent to be pitied. Instead, he gets quiet. He pulls back, not to sulk, but to rebuild. Pain hits everyone. But what separates the Sigma male is what he does with it. He doesn't let it drown him. He lets it shape him. Every betrayal, every loss, every moment of heartbreak, it doesn't destroy him. It refines him. It sharpens his mind, tightens his boundaries, and focuses his vision. Most people use pain as an excuse to stay broken. They hold on to it, talk about it constantly, wear it like a badge. The Sigma doesn't do that. He disappears into the background and works in silence. While people are still talking about how life did them wrong, he's already transformed that pain into something useful. Let's say he got rejected. Instead of whining about it, he doubles down on himself. He hits the gym harder. He reads more. He gets smarter, stronger, colder. And not in a bitter way, but in a way that makes him unstoppable. That's emotional control on another level. That's what makes him lethal. He won't announce his comeback. You'll just feel it. He'll show up one day better, wiser, and more precise. And when people finally notice the change, they'll have no idea what he went through to get there. Because he doesn't talk about the pain, he uses it. And that's the secret. He doesn't let pain define him. He lets it build him, in silence, with discipline, and with an edge that makes people think twice before crossing him again. Number 8, he exists outside the emotional economy. In a world where people constantly trade emotions like currency, offering praise to get something, using guilt to control others, or throwing shame around to maintain power, the Sigma male simply does not engage. He sees right through it, the compliments, the manipulation, the guilt trips, none of it sticks. Why? Because he's emotionally self-fed. He doesn't rely on external approval to feel whole. If you flatter him, he won't melt. If you ignore him, he won't crumble. If you try to shame him into doing something, you'll be met with silence, not submission. This is unsettling for most people, especially those used to pulling strings with emotional tricks. The Sigma's refusal to play that game exposes them, it frustrates them, it leaves them powerless. They realize they can't lure him in with validation or control him with fear. Imagine someone trying to get under his skin by praising him just to gain influence. He'll thank you, but it won't move him, or someone trying to use guilt. After everything I've done for you to make him act, he'll pause, assess the intention and walk away if it feels manipulative. That level of emotional clarity, it's rare. And it's dangerous to people who rely on emotional games to get what they want. Sigma males understand that emotions are tools, not weapons, and more importantly, they refuse to be bought or baited by them. They don't chase being liked, they chase being real. So while others are busy managing optics, relationships, and approval ratings like stockbrokers, hoping for emotional payoffs, the Sigma male steps out of the market altogether. He values truth over flattery, peace over approval, and self-respect over popularity. And that's what makes him untouchable in a world obsessed with reactions. You can't manipulate someone who no longer needs anything from you emotionally. That's not cold, that's mastery. Number 9, he's impossible to categorize. People love labels, it helps them feel in control. If they can call you an alpha, a beta, an introvert, or an extrovert, then they think they've figured you out. They think they know how to approach you, how to handle you, maybe even how to manipulate you. But with the Sigma male, that strategy collapses instantly. He doesn't fit the script. One day he's leading with quiet confidence. The next day he's disappearing into solitude. He can hold a room with his presence, but he's just as content being alone for days. He's got traits that people associate with alphas: discipline, focus, dominance, but without the need for control or validation. At the same time, he has moments of deep introspection, creativity, and independence that don't match any loud, dominant stereotype. So where do you put him? You don't. That's the point. His entire existence shatters categories. He isn't playing roles. He isn't adjusting himself to fit what society says a man should be. He's simply being himself, fully, consistently, and without apology. And that confuses people. It frustrates them. They'll try to box him in, define him, explain him, but none of it sticks. The moment they think they've figured him out, he shows another layer. Not because he's trying to be mysterious, because he's layered, just like real people are supposed to be. Take someone who meets him and assumes he's cold because he's quiet. Then they see him act with deep loyalty or kindness without needing attention for it. Or someone thinks he's standoffish until they hear him speak with depth and precision on something he's passionate about. Every assumption people make gets challenged. That's his gift. He doesn't just avoid being labeled, he makes people question why they label in the first place. He exposes how lazy our definitions can be, and in doing so, he reminds everyone that real strength isn't about fitting into a category. Real strength is being whole without needing to be understood. Number 10, he has mastered emotional neutrality. You can't rattle a Sigma male. You can try to insult him, flatter him, challenge him, ignore him. He'll give you the same calm response every time. Nothing. Not because he doesn't feel, but because he's trained himself not to react just to satisfy someone else's need for control. This is what makes him dangerous in the best way. He doesn't get high off compliments. You tell him he's brilliant, he nods, maybe thanks you, and moves on. He already knows what he's capable of. He doesn't need your praise to validate it. And on the flip side, if you try to tear him down, mock him, or question him in front of others, you'll get the same cool expression. No reaction, no emotional twitch. Just that steady stare that lets you know your words landed and did absolutely nothing. That's emotional neutrality. It's not numbness. It's discipline. Most people are easy to read and even easier to manipulate. Push a button and they react. Dangle a compliment and they follow. But with a Sigma, there are no buttons to push. He's already dealt with his emotional chaos privately. He's faced his insecurities, sorted through his doubts, and built a stable center that doesn't move every time someone else tries to shake it. And this terrifies people, because you can't guilt him into staying. You can't flatter him into trusting you. You can't provoke him into losing control. He chooses every response if he gives one at all. It's like trying to play chess with someone who doesn't respond to your moves, but somehow is always 5 steps ahead. In a world built on emotional reactions, the Sigma male is a fortress. He sees your motives before you act on them. He hears your words but listens for what they really mean. And no matter how loud the chaos gets, he stays calm. That calmness, that silence, that's not weakness, that's his power. Number 11, he never overplays his hand. The Sigma male is the definition of subtle power. He doesn't feel the need to put everything on display. While most people rush to prove how smart they are or how much they've achieved, the Sigma just stays silent, watching and calculating. Not because he's unsure, but because he doesn't waste energy showing off for people who haven't earned a seat at his table. That's the difference. He knows what he brings to the table, but he doesn't need to scream it from the rooftop. He lets people underestimate him. He lets them assume, and while they're busy talking or showing off, he's setting up his next move quietly. Then when the moment comes, he delivers with sharp precision, catching everyone off guard. It's like watching someone play chess while everyone else is playing checkers. They think he's not paying attention until it's checkmate, and they never saw it coming. Think about someone who tries to challenge or compete with him, thinking they've got the upper hand. The Sigma doesn't panic. He listens, he watches, and then he responds with exactly what's needed, nothing more, nothing less. Whether it's in business, relationships, or day-to-day life, he doesn't move until it's necessary. But when he does, it's effective and final. This kind of restraint comes from real confidence. When you know your value, you don't have to advertise it. You don't have to win every argument or react to every challenge. You sit back, you observe. And when the time is right, you act, and it leaves people stunned. The truth is, most people are loud because they fear being ignored. The Sigma is quiet because he already knows he will be remembered. He never shows all his cards. And that mystery, that calm control, that's what makes him a real threat, and one that no one ever sees coming. Number 12, he has the power to walk away from anyone. That's not a line, that's a deep kind of freedom most people will never know. The Sigma male doesn't cling, he doesn't beg, he doesn't stay in places where his peace is being drained, and what makes it so powerful is that when he walks away, he doesn't leave pieces of himself behind. He doesn't look back, he disappears without a trace, and he means it. It's not out of coldness, it's control, emotional control. In a world where so many people stay stuck in toxic friendships, fake loyalty, or one-sided relationships just because they're afraid of being alone, the Sigma male does the opposite. He walks away without flinching because he knows something most people don't. Peace is more valuable than attachment. Let's say someone betrays his trust or disrespects him repeatedly. Most people would try to talk it out, fix it, or hold on for comfort. The Sigma, he cuts it off, quietly. No long speeches, no emotional breakdown, just space. And that space, it's loud, people feel it. They start to realize he wasn't just another name in their contact list. He was the one person who didn't need them, but chose them, until they gave him a reason not to. That's why his absence carries weight, because when he leaves, he doesn't come back to check if you miss him. He doesn't leave breadcrumbs. He doesn't explain himself to make you feel better. He makes a decision and sticks to it. That level of emotional discipline is rare, and when people realize they can't control him with guilt, love bombing, or false promises, it shakes them. It makes them uncomfortable, because walking away without chaos is power. And walking away without needing anyone to notice, that's terrifying. But for the Sigma male, it's not a performance, it's self-respect in action. In final words, power doesn't always announce itself, it simply becomes impossible to ignore. Being a Sigma male isn't about acting tough or chasing dominance. It's about something far deeper. It's about becoming so sure of who you are that nothing external can shake it. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to compete for attention. Your presence speaks for you because you've built it from the inside out. This aura you carry, it didn't come from luck. It came from silence, from struggle, from choosing to grow instead of break. While others needed approval to function, you carved your own path. You stayed honest with yourself. You faced pain, rejection, pressure, and kept walking. Not because it was easy, but because you refused to quit on your own soul. That's what makes your energy different. People feel it before they understand it. They sense that you are not chasing them, that you do not need them, and that quiet independence, it disorients those who expect emotional shortcuts to influence others. You can't be bribed by compliments or controlled by shame. You've stepped outside the game entirely. Let them wonder, let them guess. You owe no one a performance. What you owe yourself is peace, clarity, and purpose, and that's exactly what you've chosen. If you've ever felt out of place, if you've ever questioned why you don't think or move like others, stop second-guessing. That resistance, that depth, that clarity in your silence, that is your gift. You don't follow the current because you are the current. And that's why your aura doesn't just enter a space, it changes it. Thank you for watching, Gents, and God bless you. God.